tell me when you...
Hi, my wife thinks I'm crazy for trying this. It was June 30th, 1995. It was a Friday. And I was getting married the next day. Now, I had a little time in the afternoon waiting for my bride to come back so we could go over to the hotel, which was in Cambridge here. And I decided to do a little packing for our trip to Italy on Sunday. I took some clothes, I put them in the suitcase, I grabbed a couple of books to read, I put them in the suitcase, I went to get my passport. Now, I have a place where I keep my passport. I have a lockbox where I keep my passport. So I went to the lockbox to get my passport. No passport. I take everything out of the lockbox. Go through it all. No passport. I go through all the pages of everything in the lockbox. No passport. I do it again. No passport. Now, I'm trying to think, well, where could my passport be? Well, maybe it's in a sports coat's jacket or a jacket. So I get all my jackets out, all my sports coats. I go through all the pockets, all the jackets, all the sports coats. No passport. Maybe it's in a suitcase. So I get out all the suitcases in the house. I go through every pocket of every suitcase. No passport. I start going through miscellaneous drawers, so forth, so on, so forth. No passport. By this time, my friends John and Linda had shown up. Our friends John and Linda had shown up, and they were going to help me. I said, John, Linda, we got a problem here. I can't find my passport. Where could it be, they said. Well, I like to read. I like to read a lot. And when I'm coming on a trip, I always have a book with me. So maybe, this is before Kindles, maybe it fell into the fold of a book. Let's go look through the books in the house and to see. So there we are, John, Linda, and I, and we're going through the folds of every page and every book in the entire house, over 2,000 volumes. No passport. Well, by now, it's starting to dawn on me that perhaps I've lost my passport. So I talk to my bride. I tell her, don't worry about it. We have a plan. There's a passport office at the Tip O'Neill building. We're plenty of time. We're going to drive down there. And John and I go, and we drive very quickly to the Tip O'Neill building, which is closed. Okay, now we have a real problem. So between then and the end of the rehearsal dinner, my friends John and Linda and a couple other people are making calls everywhere they can think of to see about what you do about getting a lost passport at the last minute. And by the end of the rehearsal dinner, they have a solution. They have found that there's a place that you can go, an emergency office, and they found out from the State Department. They called the State Department in California, because it's earlier there, right? They're not closed yet. And they found this location. And you could go there at the last minute, and you can get a passport. And so only one catch, and they made an appointment for me to go. Only one catch. It's in New York City. All right, so quick trip to get a passport photo at midnight at a Kinko's, and at 6 a.m. I'm on a flight to New York City the day of my wedding. And I get to Rockefeller Center, and I go, and I get in line, and I wait, and I wait, and wait, and finally I get a new passport, and I get in a cab. Takes me back to LaGuardia. I run through the airport so fast that I ruin my shoes. I literally ripped the stitchings out of my shoes. But I get onto the plane as they're closing the door. I get back to Boston. I get married to my bride that evening. Aye. The next day, on Sunday, while I'm finishing packing for the airport and the trip to Italy, I find the passport. This is the early part of the story because it just sort of ruins it, and it's not as interesting. I have a little suitcase, and it's sort of a funny suitcase. It folds up into a little tiny packet, and the idea is you throw it in your suitcase, and when you have too much stuff coming back, you take it, you unzip it, you open it up, and it was in a pocket of that little bag, but that little bag was sitting in a drawer, and you open it, it was a little thing, and so I didn't find it there. And when I went to take that bag and pack it for the trip to Italy, it felt funny. And there it was.